Thinking about reading How Women Rise and want to find out a bit more about the book before you buy a copy for yourself? Well, check out this video. Hey, it's Charelle from PropelHer, the place for unashamedly ambitious women who want to achieve more success in their life. Each month, as part of PropelHer's book club, we read a non-fiction book to help you achieve more success in your life. And in October 2019, we read How Women Rise by Sally Helgesen and Marshall Goldsmith. Now, the purpose of this book is to identify the 12 habits that are holding women back and to help them to rise. And the book is structured with having an introduction that talks about why women are stuck, part 2 that looks at the 12 habits, and then part 3 which is how to move forward. In part 1, the book talks about the reasons why women are held back. But it really focuses on the fact that this book is only going to be looking at the internal issues. So the reasons why a woman's been held back by herself, rather than all the external factors that we know hold women back. Then it talks about why women resist change. And one of the ideas is the fact that as you are rising up, you will feel that you've been successful because of what you've been doing so far. However, the reality is that sometimes we are successful despite the fact that we do some things wrong. And as we move through our careers, as we progress, there is a likelihood that the things that you did originally might not work for you now. And this absolutely makes sense because of the author. So Marshall Goldsmith also wrote the book What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And it's this whole idea that there are things you can do when you're younger or when you're more junior in a company, but as you rise up the career ranks, that you have to change in order to become the real leader you aspire to be. Habit 1 is a reluctance to claim your achievements. And this is something that is spoken a lot about in terms of women. In the book, it talks about the idea of using we instead of I, and also brushing people off when someone says you've done a great job. Habit 2 is expecting others to spontaneously notice you and reward you. The fact is, if you are doing a great job, you need to be self-promoting. However, there are women who don't self-promote because of some of the negative connotations or the fact they've seen other people brag and they don't like that sort of attitude, so they don't do that, but then they get frustrated when people don't notice them. Habit 3 is overvaluing expertise. The fact is, earlier on in your career, knowing your job, knowing your industry, being totally on it is what helps you to move up the ranks. However, as you move further, there is a whole range of other skills that come into play, and trying to overvalue your expertise and believing that's the only reason why you progress will hold you back at certain points. Habit 4 is building rather than leveraging relationships. This is the idea that sometimes women can get caught up in relationships for more personal reasons, and they're really great at building relationships, but when it comes to actually asking, when it asks for help, or when it comes for needing people to recommend them to people or to be on their side, they're not great at leveraging the relationships. Habit 5 is failing to enlist allies from day one. So this is especially if you are moving into a new environment. And this can sometimes be because you're too focused on getting down, getting into the job, getting moving. Or again, this relates back to the relationship thing, that you're looking at personal relationships on a personal level, rather than thinking, who are the people in this organisation or who are the people in this team that I need to get on side in order to be really successful. Habit 6 is putting your job before your career. And this is where you focus on where you are right now and do a great job. But the fact that you might become irreplaceable, so the company wants to keep you, or even worse, your boss wants to keep you. And the fact is that you're not keeping your eyes open, you're not doing the networking, you're not thinking about where this job should be taking you next, and you're just focusing on where you are right now. Habit 7 is the perfection trap. And this is one that is written about in so many books, and it's the idea that women are absolutely committed to doing their best, and they can get caught up in trying to live so hard that being a perfectionist means they only get so much work done. It means that they are spending way more time than other people, and this stops them being able to do some of the other more important work that will help you to rise. Habit 8, the disease to please. And this is such a common thing that actually PropelHer's book club has read, The Disease to Please, which is a whole book about it. But this is the idea that as women, we can want to be pleasing, we can want to not annoy people, we want everyone to like us, and that is detrimental. Habit 10 is being too much. And this is definitely one of those things where women are caught between a rock and a hard place. Like, are you too emotional? Are you too sensitive? These are things that do get said, and actually I think it's one of those habits that when I was reading it was really difficult because I think it's such a fine line to tread. Habit 11 is ruminating, and this is the idea that when people go over and over and over again, the fact is, if something has gone wrong, learn the lesson and move on. Do not spend all of your time going over it. And then habit 12 is letting your radar distract you. And in the book, it gives an example of being in a presentation, and because you are so in tune with all of the energy you're getting from all of the bodies and all of the signals around you, that you're not focusing on what you're delivering. And the idea is you need to focus on you and a little bit less about everything else that's around you. So that is the 12 habits, and you can obviously go through the habits, work out which ones you've identified as something you do suffer with, and then in chapter 3, the idea is to change for the better. The recommendation in the book is to only look at one habit at a time. And also there is a warning that women are definitely known to be more into self-improvement, and it's easy to start panicking and trying to change every single one of those habits. But what you really should do is look at which ones are having the biggest impact. It's likely that yes, maybe in a really, really rare case, you are doing all 12, but is there one or two that you are a big user of, and you need to try and cut that out of your life sooner rather than later? Overall, I was fairly disappointed with how women rise. I had already read What Gets You Here Won't Get You There, and I had real high optimism for this book. However, one of the things I felt quite weird was the fact that Sally was brought on board, I believe, because Marshall wanted to give his research from a more female aspect, but the tone of work was so from Marshall. And this is something that all the PropelHer members agreed with. It sounded as if it was all coming from him. Also, in the book, there were some really sweeping generalizations, which I do think you can see in the video from also some of the things I've said about women, which just didn't really sit very well with me. Furthermore, whilst the book says How Women Rise, and it seems quite a general title, this is not about rising and achieving in all parts of your life. This is highly career focused, and a lot of the examples, whilst you could bend them to try and think about how it does apply in a more business context or an entrepreneur context, it is really focused on people in a much more traditional corporation or organisation where you're trying to rise up in a hierarchical way. How Women Rise was read as part of PropelHer's book club, which is a non-fiction, women-only book club that focuses on reading great books to help you achieve more success in your life. If you would like to read more of these sorts of books, then you should definitely check out PropelHer's book club. There's a link in the description to find out how to join in. And I would love to know, of the 12 habits that I just mentioned, which one, because remember we're meant to be focusing on one thing at a time, which one did you think, that's probably something I do? Let me know in the comments below. Bye for now.